Right, so camera action?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Purposes of such as not doing the speech, so she thought she was going to essentially French.
Oh, well done. Oh, yay! So anyway, for our finale for the evening is the absolutely amazing Mr. Peter Gray. And I'm sure whatever he says or does will be awesome. So, well done, Peter. Yay!
We've got all our props here that I need for the talk. I've got a nice candle flame. I've got something to drink. Submerged Word. The Submerged Word is quite a cryptic title for a talk, but we're going to stray into the territory of demons, and for that we're going to need to think quite differently. So the title is offered up here as a riddle for you to consider while I'm talking. And after a long day of listening to talks, it's kind of nice to sometimes just let your mind wander and not worry too much about it. So we're going to begin today with a fairly straightforward question. The kind that's often asked in alehouses such as this to the magicians who gather there looking for clients, whores, boys, conversations. We're just another part of the social fabric that is drunk, caroused, consoled and celebrated in this way since the very first alehouses in Sumeria. In fact, in gathering here today, we're partaking of a very old custom, because the inn is a form of crossroads. It is the temporary meeting place that holds the forbidden discourse of a forbidden people. It is here, in the spit and the sawdust, that the magical traditions have been plied, far more than in the respectable world of the academy. Though the alehouses are often full of students, it's a mystery we can glimpse here in the buxom jostling of the barmaid's breasts, in the warm smell of piss distilling from the gents, tasted in the sulphurous cider, witnessed in the late night fist fights, the signing of deals, the beginning of adulteries, the planning of murders, and of expeditions in search of gold. All human life is here, and with it the ever-attendant spirit world, made even more visible as our vision smears out into a more difficult space, one where we stumble over our legs and over our words, where meanings shift and where passions rule. An alehouse is not just a place for straight talking. It is a conservatoire for quick wits that are whetted in battle against the weight of intoxication. It is a place of visions. But not every drunk is a Rambo. And before the evening descends into chaos, I will remind you that the alehouse has drowned many men and their talents. Proverbs 20, chapter 1, warns us, wine is a mocker, and strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. We're also here because of our needs. We want something that we cannot get in the everyday world. We want something we cannot get by legal or by clerical means. In short, we are here to score. The question is this, because I promised you a question a minute ago, and this talk's all about meandering and going off topic, as all conversations in our houses are. And you'll also have to allow me to use rather more colourful language than I would in a normal setting. So please pardon my French, my Anglo-Saxon, and particularly my Latin. So the question of the ritual specialist, the question of the curious outsider, how do we speak to demons? It was seen from the grimoires, if you can see these as any kind of literature, that we have very extensive rituals, all designed for accomplishing this end. We have a mass of magical books. So let's look at them. These books, for all their seeming variation, comprise of some very simple, identifiable structures. They're not discrete compartments. They all arise from a common cultural heritage, and they share enough that we can meaningfully call them a tradition. So what form do these magical books take? There are four basic components. First, there is a description of the working tools, which I like to refer to with deliberate duplicity as the ritual trappings. Many people believe that working with demons is all about this collection of particular pieces of ritual kit. This is particularly true for those who are rank beginners and men. Who are rather prone to become trapped by collecting these ritual objects and figuratively and literally wanking over them. In fact, it's far easier to acquire these objects, even a feigned lion skill in bed, than, say, to develop the courage of a lion. Such is the consumer culture which we inhabit. What I would counsel is that the ritual tools should be functional, because these are part of the performance for both the client and the magician, but they are not substitutes for the qualities which the magician should begin to embody. The next part of our magical books are conjurations. Conjurations. These are tight ritual scripts with no place for deviation. This is very comforting for people. Those people who can swallow all the Christian holy names, the aggressive, confrontational approach, and the idea that one-size rituals fit all. Very often this is the sticking point at which people leave the grimoires behind them and abandon any idea of an authentic Western tradition. But today I'm going to try and sever that particular Gordian knot for us and allow this submerged word to rise to the surface, rather like one of Al's Kraken. The conjurations are, however, critical, and we'll return to them before too long. So we have the third part of the grimoires. We have the ritual trappings, we have the conjurations, and then we have the spirit list. The spirit list gives a name, a description of what a spirit looks like, and powers. If we're lucky, there's sometimes a character, a pen portrait, or even a seal of the spirit. It is in essence a heraldic field guide to the flora and fauna which have been encountered and worked with in Europe since at least the 16th century, and I would conjecture far, far earlier. What's vital to note is that the spiritless component of the grimoires predates both the ritual trappings and the conjurations, and that these have been circulated privately in manuscript form and compiled over time. But as a result of that time, many of the texts have been lost. I'm thinking in particular here with regret of the Offices of Spirits in the Library of Trithemius, which remains only a tantalising name on a spine and is probably the missing precursor to the Lemegeton. The primacy of the spirit list is of particular interest to me with Goetic, a book with many aliases, where the operating system has been bolted onto what is clearly a much older and heavily revised spirit list. Some information has been redacted. For example, the Trinity of Lucifer, Beelzebub and Satan. other aspects have been embroidered by subsequent hands with often disastrous results. The realisation that this aspect of the grimoires, the spirit list, is independent, gives us a sense of freedom, because rather than seeing the grimoires as a set of instructions written in stone, it enables us to pursue the object of our study, conversations with demons, rather than mistaking the means for the ends that we desire. But how to talk to demons still seems absent. So we come to the fourth part of the grimoires. The fourth part of the grimoires is the optional inclusion of spells, usually entitled experiments. These are more properly part of the Book of Secrets literature, including a series of fixes for sick sheep, toothaches, and inevitably how to make girls dance in the nude until they die. Always handy. Now these spells have a very different approach because rather than functioning as a necromancer and getting the spirit to do something for you, they involve the manipulation of materia magica. So herbs, written charms, spells, paquets, which were essentially juju bags before they were taken to the New World. And we find extensive collections of these appended to Red Dragon, Black Dragon, and Enchiridion, Grimoire Verum. But there's no explicit talking with demons going on here either. So we're into a bit of a bind. Having taken our massive literature and magical books, ritual trappings, conjurations, spirit list, Book of Secrets, we can only reach one conclusion. They don't tell us how to speak to spirits.